Time now for another edition of Wellness Wednesday. Very special guest today from the Okoboji Wellness Clinic, Molly Avery, functional nutritionist at Okoboji Wellness Clinic. Good morning, Molly.
Morning.
First of all, maybe start with what is it exactly you do at Okoboji Wellness Clinic? What does Molly Avery do?
Well, I wear a couple hats in the clinic. So I talk with people about their nutrition. I look at the labs, our blood work, and I put the blood work in a functional range, which is basically an optimal range. So not just, okay, this is what your numbers are, but then we compare that to what that looks like for people who actually feel vibrant and feel healthy and are feeling great. And so we can tell someone, hey, we have some work to do to get you here, but we also can see things ahead of time before it's problematic. So we can see deficiencies, we can see where things are in excess. So it's really great because then I can utilize my background with nutrition and say, hey, you know what, we can tweak these things through lifestyle changes and your diet. And sometimes the body needs some help, extra help, and that's where we would say, hey, I was talking about with you earlier about zinc, and sometimes we in the United States in particular, people are low in zinc because we get that mostly from protein. So anyway, I would look at that and I would say, hey, you know what, I want you to eat more protein or red meat that has zinc because you're showing you're low in that, which affects so many other things in the body.
One thing that we found out in COVID was that a tremendous amount of people were low in vitamin D. So my question would be, what is the best way to pick up like zinc or vitamin D, or let's say we're low in potassium? Is the best way to go buy a supplement? Is it better to try and work really hard to get it from our diet? What's the best way to do this?
So a lot of that depends upon, and this is where this integrative area is unique in that the guest obviously has a large say in that. Some people hey, I want to do this all natural. I want to just do this through food. And we can, depending if someone is not extremely deficient in something, they can get there, but it can take time. So many people lost their sense of smell, their sense of, taste with COVID because of that low zinc part. And we still have people today who are like, hey, I never got my sense of smell back. And often that is that zinc piece because that is directly related. But if you're doing that through food, it might be, many months before you can see progress. So that could be a situation where you'd say, hey, you know what, I would supplement, and at the same time, I would also be changing my diet because you're going to have quicker results. Other people are like, hey, I want it as fast as possible, so they want to go all in that way and, do whatever they can.
The other thing I want to talk to you about is once someone is diagnosed with a certain ailment, like type 2 diabetes, I've seen since COVID, I've been following a lot of medical people, and just because you've been diagnosed with that does not mean that that's irreversible. Is that right?
That's right. Yep. We've seen a lot of improvements and people making strides with, again, lifestyle changes, dietary changes, and believe it or not, the timing of when you're eating, how you're eating, the order of what you're eating, all of these play a role when we're talking about diabetes and other nutrients they may be deficient in. And so you really have a lot of tools that you get to implement if you want or not. If you want to try, a lot of people are like, hey, I want to reduce my metformin. Many people are on multiple blood sugar regulation pills. And so hey, can I dial this back to one? And so they're willing to make all these changes and learning. But absolutely, that's absolutely right, Dave. It's not like this is a definitive for the rest of my life.
Okay, since you are a nutritionist, a functional nutritionist, I want to get your take on the food pyramid, which time goes fast these days, but I think it was last week. basically it looks to me like what they did was they basically turned it upside down. And now we have protein, dairy, and healthy fats and fruits and vegetables at the top, and whole grains make it to the bottom. So protein, dairy, healthy fats, fruits, and vegetables. Appears like we might need some more healthy fats in our diet.
Right. Yes. It's about time that some changes were made there. Absolutely. And talking about blood sugar regulation, that's one of the key things that I talk with people weekly is that, hey, we need to get more protein in there and healthy fats because those food groups don't spike your blood sugar. They help keep blood sugar steady. So when people want to they still want to eat potatoes, for instance, I'll say, okay, they're not going to give up their potatoes. Or I'll say, okay, let's make sure when you eat those, you are still eating protein and healthy fats, and to have those first and have the carbohydrate last. Not that you have to use all the protein, all the, the healthy fats, say an avocado, and then have a potato, but eating some bit of protein first and healthy fat will really, or fiber, say asparagus or cauliflower or what have you, that will also slow down that uptake of sugar in the body when someone is eating, say, a refined carbohydrate or a carbohydrate such as a potato.
One of the things that kind of surprised me a little bit on this food pyramid, they went right to the whole milk, not 1%, 2%, but whole milk.
Right. That, again, is talking about the healthy fats and the vitamins that are in the fat with whole milk versus removing all of that, like the vitamin D, removing that from the milk. We have, sometimes I want to put a little clause in there with dairy because we do find a lot of people unknowingly are reacting to dairy and they are creating more inflammation for themselves. So dairy is something we all love it, right? Who doesn't enjoy cheese or what have you? But I always want to caution people a little bit with like where they are with their health and how they're feeling. Are they dealing with a lot of inflammation? Are they dealing with are they clearing their throat a lot? Are they having, sinus nasal drip? But aside from that, some people do great on dairy. It's not a problem. And again, it goes back to that's a food that's not going to raise your blood sugar.
Another one that's way up there, and it's probably one a lot of us don't get enough of, that's fish. You see salmon way at the top there, and my goodness, we're at the Iowa Great Lakes. There's plenty of fish. We ought to be eating more fish. Evidently, the omega-3s are pretty rich in fish.
Yes, that's absolutely true. The omega-3s are really great for our skin, for our brain, for, again, healthy fats that help keep inflammation down. Often people will add more omega-3s when their cholesterol is starting to creep up a little bit. And they're really, the great thing about this upside-down food pyramid is it's starting to address things that the high carbohydrate diets have been causing, which have been a driver to, again, a lot of heart disease, a lot of cholesterol numbers being higher than we want them to be, diabetes, blood sugar things. So we're definitely moving in the right direction now.
Now, I just had this conversation with somebody yesterday. For those of us that do love bread, is there a bread out there? I know a lot of people are touting sourdough bread. Is there a bread out there that we can enjoy?
I think if you're going to go the route of bread, I know bread is, I love bread too. And I think you hit it, Dave. Sourdough really seems to be the best way to go because, again, today our bread is such a different product than it used to be, but sourdough, it really breaks up those gluten proteins in the bread that have been causing people a lot of digestive distress because it's been harder for them to break down normal, conventional bread, I'll just say at this point. But sourdough seems to kind of liberate those proteins, and people who have issues when they eat bread seem to do okay with sourdough.
Now, Molly, before I let you go, I want to ask you, So when you take a look at a set of labs, what's a conversation look like with someone that comes into the Okoboji Wellness Clinic? You get their set of labs. I'm certain you have a conversation with them, whatever their ailment might be, wherever it is that they want to go. Where do you begin? What's that process look like when somebody comes in to see you?
I do discovery calls as well. Someone can call and we can have a 15-minute just complimentary conversation if they want to come and get labs. And then when we get the results, they'll come in. I sit down with them and we look at where are the markers that are kind of the highest? Where are they popping? And the neat thing with looking at labs with more of I'll just say a functional lens is we piece it all together similar to a puzzle. And so we can see how everything connects. Like, oh, I see this over here is affecting your thyroid. So instead of let's just addressing the thyroid, let's address what's underneath that's causing the problem. Maybe it's a deficiency in iron or selenium. And let's address that because then that is going to take care and resolve your thyroid issues. So I really like that looking at it that way, you get to kind of the root cause. And I also get to talk with people at that time what they're eating and what their lifestyle choices are because that's the main driver and influence. And I'll tell you, people, they're just not aware often of some of their choices that they're making, how it's affecting their health. But when you tell them, they're like, oh my gosh, that makes sense, or I didn't know. And so it's an empowering session for people. And I really get and had really great feedback. People are like, oh my gosh, this makes sense to me now. Or I finally understand labs. They seem daunting or they seem very, an arm's length from what I could understand. But I try to explain each marker and what that means to the body and how that is the body's working or not working. So it's I really enjoy that.
Very good. Molly, it's been great having you on today. Functional nutritionist at Okoboji Wellness Clinic. I'm going to let you go. One thing I want to make sure you let people know, if they want to have a discovery call with you or with Dr. Meyer or anybody at Okoboji Wellness Clinic, because I know your motto is to thrive, not just survive. And that's the mission at Okoboji Wellness Clinic, to make people feeling better each and every day. What's the best way to get a hold of you, Molly?
Yeah, great. Thank you. People can just call the clinic at 712-339-6024. They can ask for Molly or Dr. Meyer. We collaborate on almost all our things, and so it's a great team, and you get two sets of eyes on things, so it's a lot of fun.
All right, Molly, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Great advice for us today. I bet those people that haven't got their smell or taste back yet from COVID are thinking, boy, I might need to get my zinc checked.
Yes, get the zinc checked. We do have that on the labs. Most conventional labs don't do that, so I really love seeing the zinc. It's in over 300 enzymatic actions in the body and affects so many things. We didn't get into that, but that is, super important for your immune system and prostate and that sense of, smell and taste. So
very good.
Absolutely. Get your zinc up, eat your beef.
There you go. Molly, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to visit with you. You have a great day, and we'll chat again soon.
You too. Thanks.
Thanks, Molly. Molly Avery, she's the functional nutritionist at Okoboji Wellness Clinic. Again, you can give them a call, 712-339-6024. They're located at 3305 Berquist Avenue in Spirit Lake. Also find them online at okobojiwellnessclinic.com. The mission, thrive, not just survive.